We haven't had that conversation yet over in the Senate, but I think that you know that I'd be a very sympathetic audience for that.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, Representative Hine, you are recognized for comment inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I am looking at the fiscal note, and I just need you to kind of walk me through it a little bit, because it's the first time I want to see it. I've seen it, and I want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. So specifically looking at the 1% of state funds, so what you're proposing is that we would take, of the $16.5 billion that they have noted in state funds, we'd take 1% of that, or roughly $169 million, correct? And pull that and put it into, that would be now turned into gold and silver. And then with that, we forego the traditional 2.48% in return that the Treasurer's Office typically gets when we invest our state treasury. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was reading it correctly.
Are you reading the fiscal note ending in 07P?
Yes. Yes, it's the one that was on our desk when we came in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that, you're talking about the first section there where it's got a loss of 1.4 million in general revenue for basically a loss of interest?
Correct, when we forgo that 2.84%
Right.
investment. So I just wanted to make sure that I had my numbers correct whenever we go into making this decision.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
One thing I would add about that, though, sorry, I didn't know if there was going to be another question there. One thing I would add to that is typically there's a strong correlation between the value of gold and silver increasing as a result of inflation. So the result of the inflation right now, as you know, is unusually high. So we would expect to see, even though you're losing $1.4 million, part of that, maybe well, all of it right now, and I think a majority of that in the future would be offset by the natural increase in inflationary measures, even outside of what we're seeing currently, that will really offset what you're seeing in that first section of the fiscal note. Something to be aware of.
Thank you. Yep, absolutely.
All right, we have Representative Perkins, you're recognized for comment inquiry.
Yes, and I just want to comment again, something I was thinking about. The value of the dollar is based in large part on full faith and credit in the United States government. The thing about silver and gold is that since the beginning of time, we have realized that it has an intrinsic value. There's something about precious metals that are valuable that we understand. And it's not based on any government standing. As a society, as a culture, we've known that even before there were governments, right? And I think I'm just very, very impressed with this bill.
Well, it's always been a mechanism, Representative, to store wealth. So right now, we're storing all of our wealth in cash dollars and municipal products. But I think that providing that little bit of hedge and storing some of that wealth in such a historical medium such as gold and silver, I think would make a lot of sense. So I appreciate that.
Personally, some of us have been doing that for many years, right?
Yes, that's right.
And it just makes sense for the government to do that also.
Representative Deaton, you are recognized for comment inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator. I appreciate your bill very much, and which is why I filed one similarly in the House, although I congratulate you.
I hope so, Representative.
You have had greater success in advancing your legislation than I have mine. And, when I started following, before even elected about 10 years ago, there was a guy by the name of Representative Paul Kirkman who had a somewhat similar piece of legislation, and, I think they were able to get it passed in the House numerous occasions, but never the Missouri Senate. So you've accomplished that, so congratulations to you, and hopefully we can continue our prior success, and this will be the year. I know we're all, well, at least I'm hopeful of that. I think you are as well. I wanted to just touch on a couple of the key pieces, I think. So your legislation would remove capital gains taxes on gold and silver.
Correct.
And
Income taxes, but yes.
Yes. And we currently levy those. Not every state does, though. Present.
I believe that's correct, but I don't know exactly which states.
There are a number, and so we wouldn't be, inventing the wheel there, and that's.
I can think of at least 7.
There are, now we don't currently assess sales tax on transactions.
Right.
Some states do.
Right.
approved that a number of years ago, so at least we've got that part right, so that's helpful. And then on, the payment of debts, of state debts, and maybe even if you have sufficient amounts yourself of gold and silver, maybe you wanna keep that, as I think Representative Perkins was alluding to, maybe you'd like that for your own personal hedge. You'd not be required to pay your state debts in gold and
No.
silver. You can
No.
use fiat dollars, currency, if you know, it would just give you the possibility, and with being legal tender, you'd
Right.
have that ability.
We're not restricting any current behaviors, we're just adding, the ability to take advantage of the value of gold and silver.
Great, and then I think and I wanted to ask you about this, and I think it was the dialogue you were having with Representative Mayhew, but it's the provision that I think was added maybe even on the Senate floor, but chapter 408, but just stating that no public entity shall require the payment in the form of any digital currency. Which is, if I'm understanding that correctly, that would just make it where state government couldn't require payment of state debts or anything else be paid in some sort of digital currency. That would, would not be allowed under this legislation.
Correct. We didn't want to, I mean, if we tried to go to a system, I think you would know that if we went to a system that required gold and silver, that would be chaos.
Right, so this doesn't require we go to gold and silver, and further, there's a lot of emerging, you know, and I don't necessarily wish to enter into this debate right now, and obviously, I suppose the jury's out, there's some controversy over our cryptocurrencies. Is that currency, is Bitcoin, should it be held in a similar light as like, you know, gold and silver and things of that nature? And there's obviously great concerns with what the federal government's doing, and the possibility of what government can do in the future as to maybe requiring us to use a certain form of digital something or other to pay state debts and maybe everything else. And this would make it where they couldn't do that either. So we'd have the ability to continue to pay in gold, silver, or fiat dollars. Not to say you couldn't use a digital form if you so chose, but it couldn't be the only method of payment for government. Okay. Thank you for that, Senator. Obviously, I'm very supportive of your legislation. Appreciate you bringing it forward today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Mann, you're recognized for comment or inquiry.
Representative Heiner, you took my question, thank you.
Okay, well, Representative Davidson, you are recognized, I believe you're the last one.
Thank you, and I do apologize for being a little bit late to the committee. I've read the legislation though before, and as I read it before me again, it's something I support. And I echo Representative Deaton's remarks that it's a real success to get it this far. I had two questions. One is, can you give me a little insight into the 1% number, where that had come from? Why not 1.5, or where did we land? I mean, what was the process?
Well, I don't know that there's an objective standard per se. That was a number that we were looking at what the historical level of the reserve balance was. So at a historical, 600 to 700 million would require not too much. So I'm actually flexible on that number, but that seemed to be the temperature which the Senate was comfortable, the level they were comfortable at. So really the idea was we wanted to get the state starting to buy gold and silver. So just the fact that that number is higher than zero, I think was a great step forward.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense, and something you said kind of leads into the second question. You thought that was the number that really could kind of get the Senate to be behind the legislation. Is there any, I mean, in terms of the politics and its implement in the Senate, I would really love to see this pass. And at this point, we can truly agree this legislation. Is there any reticence to making changes and tweaks? What do you think that the current temperature in the Senate is in terms of moving it to the governor's desk, I guess, with or without changes? I mean, do you think we're going to be able to make? Is that like that 1% number?
That's a good question. We never know quite what the Senate is going to do. I think that we could probably make some changes to it without endangering the bill. But of course, the Senate is a kind of a finicky animal, and there may be other things going on that have nothing to do with this bill that at any time could create an environment that's bad for all of us. So, I I know, I don't think that there's a senator in existence that doesn't want to try to get their bill passed. That being said, or without amendments, that being said, I've already heard some good ideas today that don't strike me as creating, particularly on this bill in particular, some sort of environment that would be overly negative.
Yeah, well, and I think the underlying bill, the fundamentals, the economics of it are just so strong, it makes a lot of sense. Hopefully no tweaks or changes or modifications would jeopardize just plain good policy. So we appreciate you bringing it forth. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, one other question, Senator, I think I know the answer to this question, but it's been asked to me. I want to make sure that I'm accurate. Who will be the handler for this on the House side?
Representative Eaton,
All right, that's
who
what I was-
filed the bill on his own,
That's,
unless he's giving me an update that I don't know about.
I assume that to be the case, but maybe I should have done my homework, but now we know, right? Okay, good deal. All right, so thank you very much. I think that gives everyone a chance as far as committee members for questions for you. So we will now take public testimony. We'll start with those in favor.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I apologize, they're waiting on me in another committee hearing for a different bill, so I won't be able to stay
That's fine.
for the testimony.
All right, so that'll be good.
All right,
Thank you, appreciate it. Just a show of hands, how many are here to testify in favor? And then how many are here to testify in opposition? We got two. And then how many are here to testify for informational purposes only? All right, we're gonna have a hard stop today at 1:30. So we have at this point about 65 minutes. So just make sure as you're testifying, there were a lot more of you in terms of testifying in favor. Try not to be redundant. I'm gonna try not to limit witnesses on time, but if we start getting close to time, I'll have to. So just be respectful of time. We want to be respectful of the fact that you've taken the time to drive to Jeff City to talk about this stuff. All right. So with that, we'll have the first witness in favor. Be sure and introduce yourself. Make sure you get witness form turned in.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Ethan Thampy for Crypto World. Wanted to speak in support of the bill, particularly the provision prohibiting the state of Missouri from mandating payment of any kind in a digital currency. We see this provision as something that would prevent the adoption of a federal bank digital currency, also known as a central bank digital currency. This innovation, which is being promulgated right now through the mechanisms of the Federal Reserve, would enable complete and total governmental surveillance of the financial system, allow the federal government to front-run the entire American economy. And furthermore, we have significant concerns about the use of such a technology to be paired with a social credit system like that's being done in China. I'm sure many other witnesses will go into greater detail on this, but we just wanted to again appear in support and thank the committee for its consideration.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, see no questions. Next witness in favor? Yeah, go on up, come on up. Thank you for being here. Be sure to introduce yourself and submit your witness form, all right?
Hello, my name is Logan Tice. Right now I'm a citizen of Missouri. I live in Greenwood. I'm 10 years old, and I'm all for this bill. It is number one on my list. For well over 100 years, the Federal Reserve has created all kinds of inflations. Inflation, deflation, etc. They've stolen the wealth from our country, and I'm not okay with it. Liberty is wealth, and wealth is liberty. It is stated in the Bible that proper weights and measures is gold and silver. Liberty is written on our gold and silver coins for a reason. Without liberty and without honesty, we have nothing. Liberty is a God-given right. Goldbacks, however, are a great new opportunity for Missouri to seize. I have one with me if you'd like to see it. As I told Governor Parson when I visited his office in October and gifted a gold back to him, they are a real interchangeable gold money that comes in all denominations. They are similar in size to the current dollar bills we are using. Governors in 4 states have already authorized the gold backs as a form of exchange for all all goods and services. Utah, Oklahoma, Wyoming, and Nevada. Even a few foreign countries are using them too, and 22 states are looking to the same thing we are discussing today. The benefit to goldbacks is that they cannot be replicated. They are 24-karat gold, and they do not have the words Federal Reserve printed on them. It seems to me that this would take care of many currency issues that we have today, and would offer protection for the great state of Missouri, and Missouri as well. But the best part about using goldbacks as currency is they will create something backed by another thing that's real. After I testified on the Senate floor, and the Senate saw the need for goldbacks and approved it unanimously. So today, I need you all to take goldbacks into serious consideration and make the right choice for Missouri. For more information on how they are made, you can visit goldback.com. I'm grateful for you all taking the time to listen to the concerns for the wealth of the future generation. I cannot stand by and watch the wealth of my generation being stolen from us before we are old enough to do anything about it. So today, I'm asking you to be a part of the solution instead of the problem, to restoring and securing the wealth of my generation. I'm doing my homework, and I'm asking that you please do yours, because I am not old enough to vote, and I'm asking that you vote yes on SB 100 on my behalf. I look forward to seeing how you will restore the wealth of my generation, and how you will fertilize the tree of liberty. While I have you all gathered in one place, I would like to enter a shameless plug. I'll be running for presidency in 2048, and I'm not compelling to vote. My slogan for Logan, just honesty.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your testimony. I've got an inquiry, it looks like, from Representative Boyd, and you are recognized for that inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just comment. Logan, thank you so much for coming here and speaking on behalf of your generation. I think more kids should be involved in politics, and I really appreciate you testifying. It was very sweet, and I know I'm voting yes, and I hope the members of the committee will also vote yes.
Thank you.
Representative Lonsdale, you are recognized for comment or inquiry.
I just wanted to repeat what Representative Boyd had said. Thank you for testifying, and I believe we have 4 members under 30 that are on this committee. So, getting the youth involved and getting them involved in the political process is a great thing.
Representative Wilson, you are recognized for comment or inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Logan, I've got 2 questions for you, and I echo what Representative Boyd and Representative Lonsdale said. We're thrilled that you're here, and I do mean thrilled. First, how old are you?
10.
You're 10. And I perceive that you've got some other people with you. Would you like to take just a quick minute and tell us who they are?
This is Amy Tice, my mom. Right next to her is my sister, Carrie. The next one over is my dad, Ashley. After that, it's my great aunt. Her name is Terry Woolworth. And then my brother, Adrian, and my grand, Debbie Woolworth.
Well, Logan, we're thrilled to have you and your family here. Thank you all so much for coming today.
All right, seeing no other questions, thank you so much for your testimony, and we'll now take the opportunity to hear from the next witness in favor. Gentlemen, just be sure and introduce yourself and submit your witness oath. All right, yes, introduce yourself, make sure you get your form submitted.
Right here. Hi there. Thank you so much for this hearing today. Can't tell you how much I appreciate it. My name is Patrick Holland. I live in Clever, Missouri. And I have a lot of things I'd like to say about the bill, but given the time that we have here, I'll try and keep it relevant and short, and maybe even give you guys some information you don't have already. Starting with, have you guys heard of the BRIC nations? The nations that are actually forming a coalition to get off the dollar. And it started with 5, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It's grown beyond that, and they're actually starting to mobilize a new system to compete with America's SWIFT system. This literally is the beginning of the end of the world currency we call the dollar. It's actually happening right now. There's nothing you and I can do, there's nothing Missouri can do about the SWIFT system or the dollar dying internationally as a world reserve currency. But what we can do is protect our citizens here from the collapse of the dollar. So that's something this bill is really, really, really good. And I wanted to talk to literally something that you guys might find interesting. I've been calling representatives and senators in other states. Did you guys know that this gold and silver legislation is sweeping the nation? There's actually 22 states that are doing stuff with gold and silver this year. And it looks like, according to my information, there's Alabama is going to start now pretty quick too. That's amazing, isn't it? 22 states are doing stuff, and we're talking everything from gold and silver as legal tender all the way to a depository. There's 7 states doing depositories this year. And we're just one, and I wouldn't classify ours, when I read the bill, I don't see depository, I see custodianship, but it's kind of the same thing. So I think what I really would like to impart with everybody today, particularly with the amount of speakers that are coming back, is this is really the only protection I think we can do for the people of Missouri. Given the fact that we're losing the world reserve currency, it's happening. We can't control that. We didn't cause inflation, the Federal Reserve and the federal government did that, but we can protect our citizens. SB 100 is the best form of protection I can think of that we could possibly do. And if anyone has any better ideas, I meant offer them up, please, because we need protection from this. So, but at any rate, I did talk to legislators in other states too. If you guys want to question me about what they were having to say about what they were doing in their states and why, please ask. But I will, because of the sheer amount of people, I will just offer up for questions at this point rather than keep speaking.
Any questions? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next witness in favor, please introduce yourself and submit your witness form.
My name is Gary Ridenour. I'm resident of Eureka, Missouri. I'm majorly in favor of SB 100. Right now, the BRICS nations, like Patrick was talking about, there's African nations wanting to join the BRICS. Even Mexico's wanting to get in on the action. There's going to be a flood of dollars coming back to the United States, and it's going to deflate the currency. And the only money right now that holds its value is silver and gold. The dollar is just dying. Back in 1912, a gallon of gas was 12 cents a gallon. Or no, in 1912, gas was 7 cents a gallon. So with a silver dime, you could buy a gallon of gas. With that same silver dime, with the spot price and the premium right now, if you went to SD Bullion or JM Bullion or Provident Metal, it would cost you about $3 to get that same dime. So you could still buy a gallon of gas with that same dime from 1912 to now. Back in 1964, the minimum wage was $1.25. So for 5 silver quarters, that was your minimum wage. Right now, the price of those silver quarters, if you were to buy those, if you could find them on those JM Bullion, SD Bullion, and Provident Metal, they're $22.50 for those same 5. So that's a major hedge against inflation over the years, from 1964 to now. And like Logan was saying earlier, the gold backs, these came out in 2019. Since then, the price of them have gone up 65%. They were like $2.19, $2.25 when they first came out to buy. Now to find them, I mean they're getting harder to find, but on the same 3 websites, SD Bullion, JM Bullion, and Provident Metal, they're going for $5.50 each. So they've increased. I picked these up 6 months ago for $3.62 each. And they're up to $5.47, $5.50 on SD Bullion's website. So it's a good hedge against inflation. And with the amendment in there to block the CBDC currency in Missouri, that protects all individuals in Missouri from being a slave to the CBD system. So that's all I got. If anybody has any questions?
Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions? Representative Mayhew, recognized for a comment or inquiry.
So that increase in value to it, was any part of that just simply the novelty of it
you know, the collectors buying them? Or is that
and the
reflective
price
of the
gold,
actual?
Yeah, because the price of gold was down back in 2019 when these came out. It's up now, but even in the last 6 months, when I picked these up for $3.62 each, and they're up to 5.5 now, and I would imagine a lot of that is because of the price of gold going up. Because these are real gold, they're just polymer coated gold.
Yeah, but that value based on the 1/1000th of a troy ounce, that, what you've said was $5 now, that's what 1/1000th of a troy ounce would be worth? Or is it, or is that $5 based on the novelty of it, like coin collectors?
Yeah, probably the price of the gold and the premium added to it for, what it's worth.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll hear from the next witness in favor. Please introduce yourself and make sure you get your witness form turned in. How are we all doing today? My name is Caleb Walker. I'm from Pleasant Hill, Missouri, and I am speaking in favor of the bill. This bill is extremely important in today's financial environment. The way that the dollar is going and the number of nations that have now actually separated away from the US dollar, and even the ones that haven't quite separated away yet, but are currently shifting away from even buying oil using the dollar. As this keeps happening, as more of those dollars wind up returning home,